2.4 million ounces in just 72 hours. Now, that didn't come from a bullion dealer or a fancy precious metals exchange. It came from the same store where people buy toilet paper and rotisserie chicken. Yes, I'm talking about Costco. According to recent analyst estimates, Costco members may have bought a staggering 2.4 million ounces of silver in just 3 days during a recent buying frenzy. If that's even close to accurate, that's roughly $75 million worth of silver flying off their virtual shelves. Let that sink in for a moment. We're talking about everyday Americans, families doing their weekly shopping, adding silver bars to their carts right alongside their groceries. This isn't just for coin collectors or longtime precious metals enthusiasts anymore. This is mainstream America making a powerful statement about where they want to store their wealth. It looks like something really significant is shifting in consumer behavior. And if you understand what's driving this, you'll understand something very important about where our economy might be heading. Today, I'm breaking down everything for you. The data, the psychology behind it, and the huge implications. Let's get into it. First, let me explain where these numbers come from and what we actually know for sure. Costco is a public company, but they don't release detailed sales data for precious metals. It's not a separate line item in their earnings reports. So what we have are analyst estimates based on a few key data points. First, Costco's own CFO, Richard Galanti, has publicly mentioned that precious metals are selling extremely well. In earnings calls, he's pointed out that gold bars often sell out within hours of being restocked. Second, website monitoring tools can track when products go in and out of stock. Analysts use this data to estimate how quickly things are selling. And third, credit card transaction data aggregators can see broad spending patterns at specific retailers, even if they can't see the exact products bought. By combining all these sources, analysts have estimated that Costco might be selling between $100 and $200 million in precious metals every single month. During peak demand, those numbers could spike even higher. That 2.4 million ounce figure for a 72-hour period is one of those estimated spikes. Now, I want to be totally transparent here. This is an estimate, not a number, confirmed by Costco. But here's what I find so compelling. Even if the analysts are off by 50%, the underlying trend is absolutely undeniable. Costco has become one of the largest retail sellers of precious metals in America, seemingly overnight. Their scale is just enormous. They have over 70 million member households, and it appears that a meaningful percentage of those households are now adding gold and silver to their shopping lists. So why does this matter so much? Because Costco members represent a true cross-section of mainstream America. These aren't just the dedicated gold bugs or silver stackers who've been following precious metals for decades. These are regular people who have decided that silver has a place in their financial lives. When you see a behavioral shift on this scale, when mainstream consumers start actively seeking out hard assets from their everyday retailer, it tells us something huge about the current moment. It tells us that concerns about money, about inflation, and about financial security have spread far beyond the niche alternative investment community. Let me show you what seems to be driving this massive shift. Based on my analysis, it looks like 3 key factors are coming together to create this Costco silver phenomenon. The first, and maybe the most important, is the trust factor. Costco has something that most traditional precious metals dealers just don't have: mainstream trust. Think about the typical experience of buying precious metals. You find a dealer online, a company you've probably never heard of. You're about to send thousands of dollars to a business you just discovered through a Google search. You're hoping the products are real, and you're hoping they actually ship them to you. For a lot of people, that whole process is intimidating. There's friction, uncertainty, and a feeling of risk. Costco completely eliminates all of that. Costco is where you buy your groceries, your furniture, your electronics. You already trust them. You have a membership, a relationship with them. Their return policy is legendary. When Costco sells a silver bar, it comes with an implicit stamp of approval. You don't have to spend hours researching authenticity. You don't have to worry about getting scammed or navigating an unfamiliar industry. In my opinion, this trust factor is unlocking a huge amount of demand that was always there, but was held back by all that friction and uncertainty. People feel safe buying from Costco, and that's a game changer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating trend. Why are people suddenly buying precious metals like silver bars from Costco? It sounds a little strange, right? Buying silver along with your bulk paper towels and rotisserie chicken, but it's happening, and the numbers are huge. Let's break down why. First up is the accessibility revolution. Think about it. Buying silver used to be complicated. You had to find a reputable dealer, set up special accounts, and navigate a whole new world. But Costco? It's as easy as adding it to your regular online order. You're already on their website buying your weekly groceries, you see a silver bar, you click Add to Cart, and you're done. This ease of access is turning years of passive interest into instant action. The barrier to entry has completely vanished, creating a wave of what you might call impulse precious metal purchases. The second major driver is the economic reality we're all living in. For the past few years, inflation has been a hot topic, but more importantly, it's been a personal experience for millions. You see it at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and when you pay your bills. Your money just doesn't go as far as it used to. When people feel their purchasing power shrinking, they naturally start looking for ways to protect their savings. They ask themselves, how can I preserve the value of my hard-earned money? For many, precious metals have historically been seen as an answer. Whether that's the right answer is a whole other debate, but the perception is powerful, and perception drives behavior. So, what happens when you combine these two factors? You get a perfect storm. You have millions of Costco members who are feeling the pinch of inflation, looking for a financial safe haven, and suddenly they're presented with a super easy, trusted way to buy silver. The result? Massive demand. Products selling out in a matter of hours. This isn't just about silver, it's a masterclass in how consumer behavior can shift when the conditions are just right. Let's look at some more data to really understand the scale of this. Web analytics show that traffic to Costco's precious metals pages has exploded. Search terms like Costco gold bars are way up, which means people are actively seeking this out. And when Costco does restock their silver, it's gone almost instantly. This rapid sellout rate shows that demand is consistently outstripping supply. Costco seems to be restocking in limited batches, which creates this constant cycle of sellouts and reinforces the sense of high demand. Finally, consider who is buying. Costco's members are typically middle and upper middle class households. These are financially conscious people with disposable income. They aren't the super rich making huge investments, nor are they families struggling to make ends meet. It's the broad middle class. And when the middle of America starts buying silver at their local warehouse club, that signifies a really meaningful shift in how everyday people are thinking about their money and their financial future. It tells us that the barriers that once kept ordinary Americans out of the precious metals market have well and truly fallen. What do you think about this trend? Have you seen these silver bars on Costco's site? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a fascinating situation, and it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Ever noticed how some things just fly off the shelves at certain times? For gold and silver at Costco, the data is fascinating. Demand spikes right around major news events. Think banking stress headlines, inflation data releases, or periods of political uncertainty. It seems these aren't just impulse buys while grabbing a rotisserie chicken. People are reacting to what's happening in the world, driven by real macroeconomic concerns. When I look at all this data together, I see more than just a passing trend. This isn't a flash in the pan. The demand for precious metals at Costco has been strong for several quarters now. The buying patterns line up with economic worries, and the people buying are from all walks of life, suggesting a broad mainstream shift. It looks like something has fundamentally changed in how everyday Americans view gold and silver, and Costco is right there, perfectly positioned to meet this new demand. To really get a grip on what this means, let's look back in time. Remember the 1970s? Inflation was running wild and ordinary people flocked to gold and silver coins and bars to protect their savings from a weakening dollar. That wave of interest led to the massive price spike in 1980, followed by a painful crash that caught many latecomers. Fast forward to the 2008 financial crisis. The banking system was on the brink. The government started printing money like never before. Again, people turned to hard assets, worried about the stability of the entire system. Silver, which was under $10 an ounce in 2008, rocketed to nearly $50 by 2011 before pulling back. And most recently, the 2020 pandemic. Remember that? Uncertainty was everywhere. Dealer websites for precious metals crashed, products sold out, and the premiums you had to pay just to get your hands on a coin went through the roof. See the pattern? Across all these moments in history, and mainstream interest in precious metals surges during times of economic anxiety. When people lose faith in the financial system, in their currency, or in their economic future, a significant number of them seek the safety of tangible assets. The Costco phenomenon fits this pattern perfectly. It's happening right now during a period of high inflation, banking stress, and deep economic uncertainty, but history also offers a word of warning. These past peaks in popular enthusiasm for gold and silver have sometimes marked the top of the market. The old saying, buy when there is blood in the streets, has a flip side. Be cautious when everyone else is buying. This doesn't mean today's buyers are wrong, but it's a good reason to keep a level head and maintain some perspective. So, what's different this time? I think it boils down to one word: accessibility. In the past, buying gold or silver took effort. You had to find a reputable dealer, navigate the process, and make a very deliberate choice. Costco has completely changed the game. They've removed all that friction. Now you can add a gold bar to your cart right next to your paper towels. This incredible ease of access might mean the demand plays out differently this time. People who would have never bothered before can now easily join in. Let's look at this from a couple of angles. The bullish or optimistic take? is that this mainstream adoption is a huge deal. When everyday shoppers start buying an asset, it signals growing acceptance and trust. This expanding base of buyers could create a steady, long-term demand. If Costco makes owning precious metals a normal part of family financial planning, that's a structural shift in the market. These buyers aren't speculators looking for a quick profit. They're families looking to hold for the long term, which could create a solid price floor. On the other hand, the cautious interpretation sees this wave of mainstream excitement as a potential warning sign. As we've seen in history, when an asset becomes the talk of the town, it can sometimes signal that the market is getting overheated and is late in the cycle. The rush of new, less experienced buyers can create a bubble that might eventually pop. The question is, which one is it? Are we seeing the beginning of a long-term trend in wealth protection, or are we witnessing a classic speculative peak fueled by easy access? The truth is, it's probably a bit of both. The Costco gold rush is a clear sign that public trust in traditional financial institutions is shaky. People are looking for alternatives they can touch and hold. Whether this trend continues, grows, or fades away remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. The sight of gold bars next to the grocery aisles has revealed a deep-seated anxiety in the American consumer. Hey everyone, let's talk about something fascinating that's been happening in the financial world. Costco is selling gold and silver, and they're selling a lot of it, like billions of dollars worth. So what does this actually mean for the average person and for the precious metals market? Let's break it down. First, the big question, is this a sign that gold and silver are about to go to the moon? Or is it a sign that the party's already over? Some people see this as a warning. When an asset becomes so mainstream that you can grab it with your bulk paper towels, the early, easy money might have already been made. Think about it. Impulse buyers who grab a gold bar at checkout might not have strong conviction. If the price dips, they could be the first to sell, which could push prices down even further. Plus, the market is smart. It already knows Costco is selling tons of gold. That information is likely already priced in. But there's another way to look at this. It could just be a natural evolution of the market. Decades ago, you had to call a stockbroker in an office to buy a share. Now you do it on an app in seconds. Making precious metals available at a massive retailer like Costco is just the next step in accessibility. It makes the market bigger and potentially healthier, without necessarily being a crystal ball for future prices. So, which is it? My take is to hold both ideas at once. The shift in behavior is undeniable. Mainstream Americans are buying physical gold and silver at a scale we've never seen before. That's a huge psychological indicator. It tells us what people are thinking and worrying about. But predicting future prices based on this one factor, that's tricky. Markets are incredibly complex, and retail demand is just one piece of a giant puzzle. It's fascinating to watch, but what it means for your investment returns is a whole other story. For anyone curious about this, let's get into some practical details. First, why are people buying from Costco? Reports show their prices are actually pretty competitive. They might not be the absolute rock bottom lowest you can find, but for the convenience and trust that comes with the Costco name, it's a reasonable deal. If you value a simple, trustworthy transaction, Costco is a great option. If your top priority is squeezing every last penny out of the premium, you might find better deals with specialized online dealers or local coin shops. Neither approach is wrong, they just serve different priorities. If you're even a little interested, I highly recommend doing some comparison shopping. Check the prices online. Visit a local coin shop, see what Costco is offering. Just the act of comparing these options will teach you so much about how the market works, what premiums are, and what a fair price looks like. This is valuable knowledge, whether you end up buying or not. Now, let's talk logistics. Physical metal needs a physical home. This is especially true for silver, which is surprisingly bulky. 1,000 ounces of silver weighs over 60 pounds. That's a lot of weight and space. Where are you going to store it? How will you keep it secure? These aren't minor details. They are core parts of owning physical precious metals. And what about selling? Buying is easy, but selling requires a plan. Dealers will buy your metal back, but it will be at a price below the current market spot price. There's a spread you pay both when you buy and when you sell. This isn't a huge problem for long-term holders, but it's very different from the instant liquidity you get when selling a stock or an ETF. Finally, let's talk strategy. Most financial advisors would suggest that if you own precious metals at all, it should be a small, modest part of a well-diversified portfolio. Going all in on any single asset is risky, and that includes gold and silver. And perhaps the most crucial skill is emotional discipline. The prices of precious metals are notoriously volatile. They can swing wildly on news headlines. The key to success is to avoid panic selling during a downturn and to resist the fear of missing out when prices are soaring. A calm, steady hand wins the race. So, my consistent advice is this. Educate yourself before you take any action. Understand how these markets work, learn about premiums and spreads, and think through the realities of storage and liquidity. The more you know, the better the decisions you'll make. It's an exciting time, but smart moves are always built on a foundation of knowledge. Hey everyone, today we're diving into a topic that's been buzzing lately. Costco selling precious metals. Whether that ultimately leads you to buy gold and silver or decide they're not for you, education is key to making a quality decision. So I want to address some questions I anticipate you might have. First up, should I buy silver at Costco? Honestly, I can't answer that for you. It really depends on your personal financial situation, your goals, and your preferences. What Costco offers is undeniable convenience and a high level of trust. Whether that combination is the right fit for your investment strategy is a decision only you can make. Another big question. Does all this demand mean silver prices are about to shoot up? Well, strong retail demand is just one piece of a very large puzzle. It's an important factor, but it absolutely does not guarantee price appreciation. Precious metals markets are incredibly complex, with many different forces at play, from industrial demand to macroeconomic trends. Now, let's talk numbers. You might have heard a figure floating around, something like 2.4 million ounces of silver sold. Is that number accurate? It's an estimate from market analysts, not official data released by Costco. So while the exact figure might be imprecise, the underlying trend it points to, strong and growing retail demand, appears to be very real and valid. This leads to the next logical question. Is this a sustainable trend or just a temporary fad? The honest answer is we don't know for sure. However, this demand has now sustained over multiple quarters, which suggests it's more than just a novelty. Whether it continues will depend on a whole range of factors like future economic conditions and overall consumer sentiment. Maybe you're thinking, am I too late to the party if I'm just hearing about this now? Trying to time the market perfectly is notoriously difficult, if not impossible. Being early or late is something you can only really know with the benefit of hindsight. Instead of worrying about timing, it's more productive to focus on whether precious metals have a logical place in your overall long-term financial plan. Finally, what does this whole phenomenon say about the wider economy? It strongly suggests that mainstream consumers are having real concerns about things like inflation and economic stability. Whether those concerns will prove to be justified in the long run remains to be seen. I'm bringing up these questions not to give you specific answers, but to encourage you to think critically about the situation. So let's bring all this together. Something significant seems to be happening with mainstream American consumers and their relationship with precious metals. Costco, the warehouse giant we all know for bulk toilet paper and $5 hot dogs, has unexpectedly become a major distribution channel for gold and silver. Analyst estimates suggest sales volumes that would have seemed completely impossible just a few years ago. Whether that specific 2.4 million ounce figure is perfectly precise matters less than the underlying reality it represents. Mainstream America is actively buying physical silver in meaningful quantities. This reflects a powerful convergence of three things: trust, accessibility, and economic concern. Costco removed the traditional barriers to entry, making it easy and safe. Inflation and economic uncertainty provided the motivation, and the result is what we're all observing right now. So, what does this mean for the future? I don't have a crystal ball. Markets are complex, consumer behavior evolves, and economic conditions are always changing. But I firmly believe this is a moment worth paying attention to and understanding. When you see mainstream behavior shift on this kind of scale, it tells you something important about the collective mood in the current environment. Whether you see this as a golden opportunity, a red flag, or simply an interesting economic development really depends on your own perspective and personal circumstances. My goal today was to share the information and offer some analysis to help you think through it. What you choose to do with that information is entirely your decision. If you found this breakdown valuable, please consider subscribing to the channel. I focus on analyzing market trends using publicly available data. I'd also love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you noticed the Costco precious metals phenomenon? What do you make of it all? Thanks for watching. Remember, this was educational content, not financial advice. Always do your own research. I'll see you in the next one.